Finally, a day I've been looking forward to has come. We are unboxing the brand new Mazzer Philos. Now, I've been looking forward to this grinder for a while and for a few different reasons. The first one is, of course, I just love new, unique coffee gear and equipment. I mean, it's my job to look at it after all, but also Mazzer grinders hold a special place in my heart, a special place in Sprometheus lore, because my first espresso grinder was a Mazzer. Though it was a La Marzocco Lux D, it's just a rebranded Mazzer. And this grinder itself interests me for a lot of reasons, but the main one is it's a big departure from Mazzer's original design language, and it's also their first single dosing grinder aimed more at the light commercial and home market. But of course, first things first, we need to break this thing free of its cardboard sarcophagus, hence the unboxing ceremony here. So let's try to remove it from its box within a box, or its boxception, so we can get this show on the road. As part of this whole unboxing process, it's hard to not notice that the grinder is pretty heavy. I think it's about 30 pounds on its own, so once it's on the counter, I can't imagine you're going to see it going anywhere, rocking, or moving around at all. Also, on the outside of the box, I do want to share with you this interesting tidbit of information. So, as you can see, it says zero retention, premium materials, we have silent grinding. So these are all things that we're going to be looking at closer when it comes to the first impressions part of this video, as well as the future full review. But first up, let's take a look at this first box that's on top. First thing on here is the Philos Quick Start Guide, which I'll probably take a look at a little bit later, and this other white sheet of paper that has a little thank you note from Mazzer and a signature from the person who built the grinder. Thanks, Roberto. Now, inside the box, looks like we have some accessories. We've got another manual, looks like a full manual. We've got a dosing cup, burrs, and of course a hopper, which we're going to start by taking a closer look at. From the looks of it and the feel of it, it looks like this is a fully metal hopper, except for the lid looks like it's plastic. But otherwise, it's a nice departure from some of the things that are out there right now with mainly plastic accessories and plastic pieces. So considering this grinder is aimed at a more premium market, this makes sense. Next up, of course, you have the full manual, which sure, there's that. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a manual. Next up, where would we be with a single dosing grinder without a dosing cup? And this one follows suit with the hopper. It's a nice, clean stainless steel design. It's got some grips on the outside. Not much to say about it, but it seems like a nice piece of equipment. Next up, we have some small pieces. There's an included brush inside the box, as well as the shot finisher, which is a unique piece of equipment we'll talk more about in a later part of this video. All right, so now let's take a look at some of my favorite things to just look at in general, a set of burrs. Now this is the secondary fitted set. You can actually ask for this to be fitted from the factory, but it's not the standard set that comes with it. We'll talk more about burrs at length later on, but this is their I-189D, which is a bimodal set of burrs aimed more at producing texture in the cup, as opposed to the ones that are factory fitted, which are aimed more at clarity. But as you can see, it's more of a traditional bimodal design, but it has been updated. All right, so it appears we're almost to the bottom of the cereal box where the toy is sitting. So let's get the rest of this packing material out and get this grinder out on the counter. All right, so as we enter the final stages of the unboxing ceremony, the unwrapping, I guess, if you will, let's start talking a bit more about the aesthetics of the Mazzer Philos. Now, originally, I didn't love it when I saw pictures and videos of it. I think I was sort of 50-50. You know, didn't hate it, didn't love it. But I think now that I'm looking at it in person, it definitely has a lot more charm, a lot more stylistic direction to it than it did, or than the pictures even really show. And then also based on other grinders on the market right now. It's not just a plain tube with a motor and a set of burrs. There's a bit more going on here. And also you throw in the materials and just the general feel of the grinder, which really comes across as a premium market option. The roughly $1,000 price point, which hasn't been fully finalized yet, will put it in pretty serious competition with things that are already out there. And with it fully out of the box and on the counter, I can't help but do one last thing. We need to open it up and take a look inside. And conveniently, the front panel or the front piece of it is held on by magnets. Once that's popped off, there are two small butterfly screws that can be unscrewed that loosen up or give you the ability to pull off the entire front face, which also just so happens to be the front burr carrier for the static set of burrs. And as I mentioned earlier, that set of burrs is the I200D, which is a more unimodal design aimed at providing more clarity. Also exposed when you remove that front face is the pre-breaker or auger, which is a bit of a unique design compared to the others I've seen. It's more of a asymmetrical blade as opposed to just a traditional spiral wrapped around the entire tube. And of course, putting it back together is about as simple as taking it apart, just done in reverse. And lastly, we're going to place our hopper. And of course, what would a grinder be in 2024 without a magnetic dosing cup? But with all that out of the way, we're going to dive into a quick first impressions after a word from this video's sponsor. When it comes to brewing the best coffee, the importance of water cannot be overstated. I mean, purely by the numbers, water makes up to 98% of what's in your cup, and it's absolutely vital to the long-term reliability of your equipment. Personally, I use and trust third-wave water formulas in every machine, owned or loaned. Not only is it formulated to not produce scale or cause corrosion, but there's an option for every palate. Third Wave Water offers a wide variety of mineral blends specifically designed to get the most out of your favorite roast level or brew type. So take control of one of the most important variables of brewing quality coffee and head over to thirdwavewater.com/Sprometheus or use code Sprometheus at checkout for 10% off your first purchase. Thanks to Third Wave Water for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. Like I said at the very start of this video, I've been waiting on this one for a while, and that's because the Philos really feels like something brand new for Mazzer, and that's exciting in its own right, but hopefully it will also open the door for a long-time grinder manufacturer to bring all their experience into the single dosing market that has been more or less dominated by relative newcomers. And I think in terms of first impressions on the Philos, there's some evidence to say that Mazzer has arrived. For instance, the overall build, feel, and aesthetic, though a bit of a departure from Mazzer's original kind of classic design, and will likely be a love it or hate it kind of deal, still maintains their high standards in materials and engineering. There's no weird panel gaps, loose-fitting pieces, or parts that seem cheap or flimsy. But I do have a bit of a concern when it comes to the large removable burr carrier and how it's attached. I would guess that if it's not tightened the same on both bolts, it could throw off the alignment, which is why you often see this done with a single threaded piece. And I mention this also because Mazzer offers two very distinct and different burr designs with the Philos from the factory, and its easy access is almost an invitation to swap them. And when it comes to the burrs themselves, the factory options definitely show an effort or continued effort to modernize a bit. The standard set of burrs, the ones that ship by default, offers a unimodal blade geometry, meaning its blades are all the same height, offering one peak, and this reduces the amount of fines and a more uniform grind. And this style is very popular with lighter, fruitier coffees as it produces a significant bump in clarity. And I can say that having had a few cups with these burrs already, it does live up to that expectation. The other set that's offered is an updated version of their classic bimodal burrs, which has two peaks, and that creates more fines that give a significant boost to the coffee's body, and in most cases balance, but I haven't swapped them in yet, so I'm marking those to be determined. Use-wise, the workflow is straightforward and simple, and really only differs from other single dosing options when it comes to making grind size adjustments, which are on the rear of the grinder. And you can also switch the adjustment dial from step to stepless, though each step is decently small and is only 6 micron, which should be good for most applications and doesn't cause huge swings in time on espresso. Of course, the Philos is also a capable all-arounder, and according to the manual, the grind settings are 10 to 40 for espresso, 50 to 80 for mocha, and 80 to 120 for filter. So for me right now, I'm pulling good shots at around 20 and brewing most of my pour-overs around 75. Also inside is a pre-breaker/auger, though its design is quite a bit different than others I've tested. It's actually asymmetrical and feeds beans noticeably slower than others I've used, so I'll be curious to test out its efficiency, as it's advertised to provide a consistent rate of beans into the chamber, which minimizes clogging, regrinding, and non-uniformity. Also, and as you probably expect at this point for modern single-dosing grinders, it's designed for low retention. And that's done with low static materials, a built-in knocker, and a tool called a shot finisher. That's something I've never seen before, but it does actually work. So when that's all utilized along with RDT, the retained grinds are minimal, though I haven't really done any real official testing so far. And finally, I think it should be said that this model is a prototype of the US version, which means it has a 60 Hz motor compared to the European 50 Hz. And that extra 10 Hz really does seem to make a difference. It feels very powerful from the second you hit the switch, and it has no issue ripping through beans, though it does have a ton of vibration. But Luigi Mazzer and I talked about this before it even landed on my bar, and he assured me that that is an issue that they're aware of, it's one that's being fixed prior to launching any retail units. And I will have a full retail unit here to test prior to my full review coming in the next couple of months. But speaking of reviews, and considering this is just a first impressions video, I'm going to start wrapping this one up here, and as always, pass the conversation on to you. So what are your thoughts on the Mazzer Philos? What questions do you want answered, and what tests or experiments do you want to see in the full review? Drop your answers to that question, and any others you may have in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see y'all next week. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell button for notifications of new videos posted every Friday. Check out my Instagram @Sprometheus for content throughout the week. Help support the channel by considering becoming a member for early content access. And as always, stay caffeinated. Ponyboy